Have you ever let a single rude comment ruin your entire day? Think about that. One sentence from one person, and suddenly they own your mood for the next 8 hours. Why do we hand over the keys to our minds so easily? Welcome to INVICTUS X. Today, we take those keys back. Part 1. The Trap of Reaction. Most of us believe that anger is something that happens to us. We think, he made me mad, or this traffic is driving me crazy. But that is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. The truth is much harder to swallow. Anger is not a reflex, it is a choice. Biologically, we are wired to react. When you get cut off in traffic or insulted in a meeting, your amygdala, the primitive part of your brain, hits the panic button. It screams fight or flight. This is what modern psychology calls the reptilian brain. It wants you to survive, not to be happy. But here is where the Stoics differ from the rest of the herd. They understood that while you cannot control that initial spark of irritation, that biological flinch, you have absolute authority over what happens next. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He faced betrayal from generals, a plague that wiped out his citizens, and constant war. If anyone had a right to scream at the sky, it was him. Yet he wrote a simple reminder that changed history. You have power over your mind, not outside events. He didn't suppress his emotions, he mastered them. He realized that an unchecked emotion is like a wildfire. It burns the vessel that holds it more than the person it is directed at. Part 2. The Inner Fortress. Imagine your mind is a fortress. Inside that fortress is your peace, your clarity, and your joy. Now imagine a stranger walks up to the gate and throws a bag of trash at it. If you're like most people, you open the gate, run outside, pick up the trash, and start screaming at the stranger. Now the trash is inside your fortress. You have let them in. This is what the transcript refers to as emotional slavery. When you let a rude clerk or a passive-aggressive email shift your mood, you're essentially saying, I am not the master of my own house. You are. The Stoic approach is different. When the trash hits the gate, the Stoic watches from the tower. They don't flinch, they don't chase. They realize that the insult says everything about the attacker and nothing about the defender. As Epictetus taught, it is not the event that hurts you, but your judgment of the event. If you decide the trash doesn't belong to you, it stays outside. You remain untouchable. Part 3. The Power of the Pause. Let me give you a real-world example. Let's talk about a guy named Thomas. Thomas is a middle manager at a high-pressure tech firm. He's in a boardroom meeting presenting a project he's worked on for 3 months. Midway through, a colleague named Steve interrupts him. Steve laughs and says, "That idea sounds a bit naive, doesn't it?" The room goes silent. Scenario A, the old Thomas, his face gets hot. His heart rate spikes. He snaps back, "Well, Steve, if you actually read the brief, you'd understand the data." The meeting becomes awkward. Thomas looks defensive and insecure. Steve wins because he got a reaction. Scenario B, the Stoic Thomas. Steve interrupts. "That idea sounds a bit naive." Thomas stops. He takes a breath. He looks at Steve, not with anger, but with curiosity. He holds the silence for 3 seconds, what we call the strategic pause. Then Thomas smiles calmly and says, "Interesting perspective. Can you elaborate on which part of the data seems naive to you?" Do you see the difference? In scenario A, Thomas reacted. In scenario B, Thomas responded. By pausing, Thomas short-circuited his reptilian brain. He didn't let Steve access his peace. As the source material tells us, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. A loud mind reacts immediately because it is insecure. A wise mind waits because it knows the truth doesn't need to shout. This is the core of emotional control. It is not about having no feelings. It is about refusing to act on them until you've processed them. It is the ability to turn an insult into an insight. As highlighted in Insights from Glasp, Stoicism teaches us to reframe negative experiences as opportunities for growth rather than personal attacks. By doing this, you disarm the negativity completely. Part 4. Energy Economics. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, famously said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." How many times have you had an argument in the shower with someone who wasn't even there? How much energy have you leaked worrying about problems that never happened? Think of your emotional energy like a battery. You only have 100% for the day. Every time you get annoyed at a slow barista, you lose 5%. Every time you doom scroll and get angry at the news, that's another 10%. By the time you get to the things that actually matter, your family, your passion, your goals, you are running on empty. You aren't exhausted because life is hard. You're exhausted because you are spending your expensive energy on cheap things. A Stoic treats their energy like gold. They practice the art of selective indifference. If it doesn't harm your character or your purpose, it doesn't deserve a response. The real flex in today's world isn't who can yell the loudest, it's who can remain the most still. Stillness is dominance. When you refuse to engage in someone else's drama, you force them to sit alone with their chaos. So, how do we build this? Philosophy is useless if you don't apply it. The Stoics didn't just read, they trained. I want you to try the challenge mentioned in the video. For the next 3 days, you are going to run an experiment. 1. The silent treatment. When you feel the urge to snap at someone, force yourself to remain silent. 2. The smile. When someone expects you to get angry or defensive, offer a genuine smile instead. 3. The observation. Watch what happens to them. Watch their confusion. Watch their power over you dissolve. If someone can pull you out of character, they are writing your story. It is time you took the pen back. Remember, you weren't born to carry other people's baggage. Your peace is your responsibility. If this philosophy resonates with you, you are in the right place. This is INVICTUS X, and we are building a community of people who refuse to be slaves to their emotions. I want to hear from you in the comments. What is one situation this week where you reacted but wish you had paused? Let's hold each other accountable. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to build a mind that no storm can shake. Stay strong, stay stoic.